It's 64 up there in Seattle, 74, kind of warm and nice out here in Portland, 77 in Salem, and 80 degrees in Eugene, and no rain in the forecast through tonight, through tomorrow, and through Sunday. Enjoy your weekend. World News Tonight is next.
World News Tonight, 2 men charged with murder in the Trade Towers attack. The German police say they have the evidence. The Taliban in Afghanistan say they will not surrender to the president's threats. The president's new Office of Homeland Security, what will it do? The telephone operator who heard it firsthand from the man on Flight 93. And the need to see what happened at Ground Zero in person.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening, everyone. It is less than 24 hours since the president told the world that America was now a country awakened to danger and called to defend freedom. The public has told our polling unit by 2 to 1 they approve of a war against terrorism, and overwhelmingly the public believes that inaction is the greater peril. Today, the campaign against terrorists may have produced some results overseas. ABC's Brian Ross is with us tonight. Brian, first of all, talk about France.
Peter, authorities say today was a good day for them and a bad day for terrorists. They believe they have disrupted yet another airborne assault on U.S. interests, this time the American embassy in Paris. French authorities overnight in pre-dawn raids took into custody 7 people who they believe had plotted an assault on the embassy. In the search of the apartments, they found drawings of the embassy and a computer program showing how to fly a helicopter, which authorities now speculate they may have planned to hijack and then crash into the embassy in Paris.
Belgium and Holland.
More arrests there, 2 more cells broken up by authorities based on tips from a bin Laden operative who was taken into custody in Dubai. And in London, Peter, 4 more arrests today, yes.
Sorry, just repeat London for me.
And in London, 4 more arrests, they say, are in connection with the investigation of the attacks in New York and Washington.
Thanks very much, Brian. Brian Ross, who follows this so closely for us. Now let's go to Germany, because in Germany, authorities have filed the first murder charges in connection with the attacks, and ABC's Bill Redeker is in Hamburg.
After raiding 14 apartments and detaining a dozen people, German authorities today issued arrest warrants for 26-year-old Saeed Bahaji, a German of Moroccan origin, and 29-year-old Ramzi bin al-Shibh from Yemen. Both were charged directly in the American attacks with forming a terrorist organization and at least 5,000 counts of murder. Germany's federal prosecutor said Bahaji and bin al-Shibh began making preparations for the attack in 1999. They lived in this modest Hamburg apartment, along with 3 of the alleged hijackers, including the man they believe was the ringleader, Mohammed Atta. Police, who have now thoroughly cleaned out this apartment and have dusted for prints nearly everywhere, say they believe Atta used the apartment for planning and that up to 20 Arab men met here 3 times a week. German police are investigating whether the apartment was a recruiting center and a base of operations where the attacks against the U.S. were launched. Hamburg is home to 80,000 Muslims. 300 have been identified by police as Islamic extremists. Germany has long been considered a safe haven because of its strict privacy laws. Now, that may well change. Bill Redeker, ABC News, Hamburg.
Well, in this country, almost everybody is in some measure of alert this weekend because of a general concern about terrorism attacks. Associates of the hijackers, we are told, remain at large, and the Attorney General believes that last week's attack may have been part of a more elaborate plot. They are on heightened alerts at the Hollywood studios, and in Boston, the FBI has received warnings in each case, but there are no specific threats. Mr. Bush could not have been more direct in his message to the rulers of Afghanistan last night.
The Taliban must act and act immediately. They will hand over the terrorists, or they will share in their fate.
Well, the response from Afghanistan was swift. Today, the Taliban refused to heed Mr. Bush's demands, and so in Afghanistan and next door Pakistan, they're pretty certain of what is coming next. Here's ABC's Bob Woodruff.
In the face of the American ultimatums today, the Taliban refused to budge. It should be well known that we will never surrender to evil and might.
Taliban leaders also said they do not know where Osama bin Laden is, and that President Bush's demands might plunge the world into crisis. In Afghanistan's capital, more people were packing and leaving and preparing for war. Across the border in Pakistan, people vowed to fight back. The U.S. wants to take revenge on the Afghani people, this man said. If America strikes, all Muslims will retaliate. There was anger all across Pakistan today. In this country, so critical to the U.S. effort, thousands of people took to the streets in 4 different cities to protest against the United States and against their own government's support of the United States. Death to America, they chanted. America's graveyard, Afghanistan. In Pakistan's largest city, police used tear gas to stop them. At least 3 people were killed, many more injured. There are concerns tonight that an attack on the Taliban could destabilize this country. ABC News has learned that the U.S. will soon help Pakistan by lifting sanctions, which will open the door to billions of dollars in aid. Bob Woodruff, ABC News, Islamabad.
Government sources tell ABC's John McCarthy tonight that sufficient U.S. military assets will be in place to launch an airstrike in Afghanistan by next Wednesday, if the president decides to act. Tonight, the first B-52 bombers will take off from Louisiana for bases in the region. The Vatican said today that it's been assured there will be no strikes until the Pope's trip to Central Asia is complete, and that would be a week from today. But some sort of conflict between the U.S. and the Taliban seems inevitable. So it is time for all Americans to begin learning more about Afghanistan.
The terrain is very difficult in the sense that this is a mountain country. The weather is an issue. As we move toward winter, there are blizzards in the mountains. There are large weather windows. And a lot of these are areas where you can still penetrate with the kind of sensors we have or conduct helicopter movements or even airdrops.
What sort of military force would Americans face on the ground?
We're talking probably, and estimates here are very rough, about 3,000 to 5,000 people that are associated with bin Laden. The Taliban sort of full-time forces are only around 45,000 men, but they can mobilize large numbers of volunteers in an emergency.
Afghanistan doesn't have a lot of military targets, but there are some.
It doesn't have a lot of big, fixed military facilities. It has some air bases, but only a few of these have combat aircraft. I think they have about 60 aircraft operational. Most of them are old MiG-21s. This is simply not a force that can cope with F-16s, B-1s, or B-52s.
The Taliban has anti-aircraft capabilities, including ground-to-air missiles. The Afghans used them to defeat the Soviets in the 1980s. The Taliban regime still uses Soviet tanks.
It has about 600 tanks. It has a lot of artillery, but these are dispersed into small combat units. If it loses its artillery, if it loses its supply depots, if it loses communications, this regime may be fragile enough so it will come under intense pressure.
And the chances of finding bin Laden on the ground?
It can shift from cell to cell without warning. We could destroy every physical facility he's ever occupied, and it probably would have almost no meaning. The job is extraordinarily difficult, if not impossible, if you set deadlines and demand instant success.
Our military analyst, Tony Cordesman. Last night, President Bush announced the creation of a Homeland Security Office to coordinate the fight against terrorism in this country at the highest levels. And he named Governor Tom Ridge of Pennsylvania to lead it. So what's the new office going to do? Will it have teeth? And most importantly, is it likely to make the country safer? ABC's Jackie Judd is in Washington.
Coast Guard vessels, part of the Transportation Department, are patrolling the Potomac River. U.S. Marshals under the Justice Department are patrolling the airports. F-16 pilots who report to a U.S.-Canadian military command are patrolling airspace. Almost 50 government agencies have some role in monitoring terrorists and responding if they attack.
One of the purposes for creating this position is to coordinate, to create a strategic plan, and to have somebody just overseeing that plan.
The president gave Tom Ridge cabinet-level status, but he did not say if Ridge has the power to tell agencies how to spend their money.
He clearly will need budget authority to be able to prioritize and help influence the development of budgets within the various different agencies and departments that all have a piece of this pie. And absent that, he will be ineffective.
Administration officials acknowledge that turf wars are inevitable. Efforts to protect budgets, information, and the power to make decisions.
It's difficult when you're going to be held accountable for what your agency does to have somebody else making the decisions. It's going to take a lot of collegiality. It's going to take both leadership and cooperation to make this work.
But Ridge has some things working in his favor, the confidence of the president and strong national unity behind his efforts. Jackie Judd, ABC News, Washington.
On Wall Street today, at least the market was open, said one trader. That's one thing to be thankful for. It's been a pretty brutal week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down another 140 points today to close at 82.35. The market's down 14% for the week, and that's the largest drop in percentage terms since 1940. The NASDAQ lost 47 points today and 16% this week. ABC's Betsy Stark is with us tonight. The watchword for the economy seems to be anxiety.
Anxiety, and on Wall Street, heavy selling and high anxiety, Peter. Nervous investors are afraid to own even the biggest companies with the best prospects in a world so full of uncertainty. The miracle of Wall Street's reopening Monday and talk of a rally fueled by patriotic good intention gave way this week to the reality that last Tuesday's attack has almost certainly pushed the economy into recession.
How long and how deep that recession will last is going to depend upon what sort of response we see by the United States and what the terrorists are able to do.
Corporate profits are now expected to be down more than 20% from last year, putting spending plans on hold. In Las Vegas this week, executives said they'll wait on a 900-room hotel for Caesars Palace. Unemployment is surely rising. Today, Northwest Airlines cut 10,000 workers, putting the industry's layoffs since the attack at a staggering 80,000. GM and Ford are trying to lure buyers back to showrooms with 0% loans. In New York today, Mayor Rudolph Giuliani echoed the president's plea last night, saying the best thing Americans can do is spend.
There is a way that everybody can help us, New Yorkers and everybody all over the country. Come here and spend money. Just spend a little money. Like go to a store, do your Christmas or holiday shopping now, this weekend.
ABC News polls taken since the attack show consumer confidence in the economy holding up remarkably well. But the question economists have is whether that's just patriotic talk that may not translate into real spending, Peter.
Many thanks, Betsy Stark. When we come back, Americans wonder what will they sacrifice for a war? And seeing the evil for themselves, spectators at the ruins.
Dear Aleve, I was always a morning person. It's the very best part of my day. So when arthritis pain robbed me of my mornings, I was determined to find relief. I tried Tylenol, but that painful morning stiffness was still there. Then my doctor told me about Aleve and a new clinical study.
In addition to all-day pain relief, Aleve is better than extra-strength Tylenol for relieving morning stiffness.
Now mornings are mine again, and that's a beautiful feeling. Thanks, Aleve.
Right on target. Now there's a men's hair color made to target only your gray hair. Grecian 5. It's right on target. In 5 easy minutes, Grecian 5 targets only the gray hair, replaces it with subtle tones like your own natural color. Right on target. It matches the rest of your hair for a subtle, natural look. Grecian 5 targets only the gray.
The long jump. The Dash. Life is like a sport, and your feet take the impact hard. But new Stride Guard insoles absorb 50% more heel impact than these Dr. Scholl's. Take more impact in stride. New Stride Guard insoles.
When I'm away, my mother's in charge.
Oh, look at Grandma!
I know my kids will eat their vegetables.
Who wants more chocolate?
After dinner, she'll make them rinse the really dirty dishes.
Bingo!
They'll put everything in the right place because Mom loves everything shiny.
Cascade works two ways. First, it removes tough stuff. Then, its Pure Rinse formula leaves a better shine than the leading competitor.
Like mother, like daughter.
Grandma, let's go!
Also in powder and gel.
When your eyes feel dry, gritty, irritated, protect them with Refresh brand eye drops. First, Refresh relieves dryness. Then Refresh forms a lasting shield of protection that keeps irritation out and moisture in. Refresh. It relieves and protects.
President Bush said last night that Americans should expect a lengthy campaign unlike any other we have ever seen, his quote. And while the president did not say exactly what he wanted from Americans, he certainly seemed to indicate that sacrifices must be made. Today, many Americans are trying to figure out what sacrifice means. Here's ABC's Dean Reynolds.
The boys at Evelyn's Cafe in Argyle, Texas overwhelmingly favor retaliation, but they are concerned.
It'll be probably another Vietnam. I don't think you know exactly who the enemy is.
I would expect more terrorist acts in this country, and the quicker we act, the better off we're going to be.
But act where?
I think we're concerned with where our political leaders are taking us.
In small towns and big cities, Americans are wondering how long this fight will last and whether it will prove conclusive. You can hear frustration and even impatience from faraway South Dakota.
We're one of the few countries that you can walk out of your house in the morning whistling and not having to worry to look around the corner to see if, you know, you're safe or whatever. And I want that back.
In San Antonio, a measure of self-doubt.
I think it's kind of like maybe even back like it was in Korea. I mean, are we going to have the stomach to go the distance?
On college campuses, the first wave of anti-war apprehension has rolled in.
If you lash out violently against terrorists, you get 10 more.
There's been a real, surge of patriotism on this campus, which has been interesting but frightening at the same time for a lot of students because, you know, nobody wants to get into a war.
And a new poll says 40% of Americans fear the government may go so far in the fight against terror that some treasured freedoms in this country will be sacrificed.
We can suffer collateral damage to our constitutional liberties if we are not careful and go through the deliberative process.
But right now, the calls for action are drowning out the second thoughts. As one veteran of World War II put it today, if you have to violate freedom to protect the masses, go ahead and do it. Dean Reynolds, ABC News, Chicago.
When we come back, the woman who got the call from Flight 93.
Introducing new Kellogg's Special K Red Berry cereal. Crunchy sweet flakes, now with slices of real strawberries, right in the box. Looking good, never tasted so great. Kellogg's Special K Red Berries. It's new.
Ted, call on line 1.
Thanks, Aaron. This is Ted.
Hey, Teddy boy. How you doing?
Good. What's going on?
Just coming up with some more great ideas to make you look good.
What do you got?
Something big. Let's get together tonight.
What time?
11 o'clock. Meet me at my place.
Can you reach it?
When my guys want cookies,
It's moving.
Hey, guys, there's something better.
I have a little secret surprise. These Pillsbury ready-to-bake cookies, they couldn't be any easier. I just place them and bake them. Look what I've got. But you know what the best part is? The boys get warm, gooey cookies. And as for me, well, I have more time to hang out with my guys.
Pillsbury, my heart to yours.
Come closer. You
brush, so you can't have denture odor, right? Wrong. Brushing can miss odor-causing food particles. So use Polident. Polident powers away food particles brushing misses. See? Polident for better odor control.
No can, no fork, no grill. It's the easiest way to a juicy grilled meal your cat can't resist. New from Whiskas.
I do enjoy the pleasures of the grill.
I can see that. Whiskas, what cats want.
Who'd you expect? Bob Dole?
Follow Mark Martin and the Viagra racing team this season.
Get to your doctor for a checkup and find out if a free sample of Viagra is right for you.
And for more information right now, race over to Viagra.com.
One of the people President Bush recognized during his speech last night was Lisa Beamer. Her husband, Todd, was on United Flight 93, which crashed in Pennsylvania. Todd is the one who made that phone call to a GTE airfield supervisor. Her name is Lisa Jefferson, same first name as Todd's wife. And we heard from her today in the first person.
When I took over the call, there was a gentleman on the line, very soft-spoken, calm, didn't hear any background noise. And I told him my name was Mrs. Jefferson, and I understand that this plane is being hijacked. He told me there were 3 people that was taking over the flight. 2 of them have knives, and they have locked themselves in the cockpit. One had a bomb strapped around his waist with a red belt. He told me at that point that if he didn't make it, would I please make a phone call and call his wife and his family and let them know that he loved them very much. He said that would I say the Lord's Prayer with him, and he recited the Lord's Prayer from top to bottom. Then he said, Lisa, he thought he had lost me, and I said, I'm still here, Todd. I'm not gone. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here as long as you are. I could hear the flight attendant next to him screaming, and I could hear men, their voices were raised, and there was just a lot of commotion going on. At that point, he told me that him and a few other guys were thinking about jumping the guy with the bomb. If it didn't work, he wanted me to make a phone call and make a promise to him that I would call his wife. He turned from me to speak to someone else, and he said, are you ready? I couldn't hear their response. He said, okay, let's roll. That's the last I heard from Todd Beamer. And when I said hello, she was crying on the phone, and I could make out Lisa Beamer. And I told her that he wanted me to call and let her know how much he loved her and his family. And then I told her, and he said, let's roll. She said, did he say that? And I said, yes, he did. And she said, let's roll. I said, yes, he did. She said she knew it. That was him. That's his phrase. Todd and the other guys made a big sacrifice. They tried to land the plane safely so no one would be hurt. But it just didn't go that way.
When we come back this evening, our final item in the broadcast, people having to see for themselves.
Morning, guys.
Hi.
Hey. Morning. Like to see how your cereals stack up the total?
Sure.
To get the iron in 1 bowl of total, you'll have to eat 2 bowls of cornflakes. For folic acid, try 4 bowls.
That's a really big spoon.
Want zinc? 10 bowls for you.
What's so funny? Nothing.
Nice bowls.
Total has 100% of 11 vitamins and minerals in just 1 bowl.
We'll take the total. Sure. And give Junior the check. What?
Total Raisin Bran, Total Cornflakes. 1 bowl, 100%.
Life is like a sport. The impact of each step impacts more than just your feet. But new Stride Guard insoles absorb 50% more heel impact than these Dr. Scholl's. Take more impact in stride. New Stride Guard insoles.
Lincoln, Mercury, and Ford dealerships offer convenient Saturday hours because your tires, battery, shocks, and brakes are working hard all week, just like you. Our quality care professionals know exactly what your vehicle needs to be at its best. Now get a Motorcraft Tested Tough battery for $59.95. making it easier for you to get an expert under the hood. Quality care service on Saturday at participating Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury dealerships.
When I got my cholesterol checked, it was high. Too high. So Liz and I got very careful about what we were eating. We even joined a gym. But my doctor found my cholesterol was still too high.
He's doing everything you asked. Now what?
That's when my doctor added Lipitor.
Lipitor is the #1 prescribed medication for lowering cholesterol. In clinical studies, Lipitor with diet lowered bad cholesterol 39 to 60%, total cholesterol 29 to 45%, triglycerides 19 to 37%. Once-a-day Lipitor is not for everyone, including people with liver disease or possible liver problems, women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. Blood tests are needed to check for liver problems. Tell your doctor about muscle pain or weakness, as they may be signs of serious side effects. Call 1-888-LIPITOR.
Look at those numbers. They're way down.
Lipitor did it.
Ask your doctor what Lipitor can do for you. Lipitor, the lower numbers you're looking for.
You've never felt relief that lasts like this before.
It's amazing.
The revolutionary new Icy Hot Patch. Concentrated pain relief that's icy first to dull the pain, then hot to relax it away for hours of relief.
It's fantastic how long it works.
I'm Steve Dunn. Coming up next on K2 News, local reservoirs tighten security over worries about water. How long will it take the stock market to bounce back? History might hold some tips. And can Boeing design a cockpit door to keep terrorists out? Join us for local news, sports, and weather. Coming up next on K2. We'll see you then.
Find this evening seeing it for themselves, the scene of the crime, that is, in New York City. So many people from so many places. Here's ABC's Dan Harris.
When he heard about the attacks, Tony Chiocci, a businessman from Tampa, Florida, got in his truck and drove 19 hours straight to be here.
Disaster. Disaster, heartbreaking.
He felt compelled to return to the city where he grew up and to document the destruction for himself.
I can say I'm on ground zero right now. Instead of being 1,100 miles away and watching it on TV, you're part of it.
Thousands feel a similar pull. People of all hues, all nationalities. They come to stare, to shake their heads, to snap photos and make videos.
It's a bit of a thud in the stomach when you see it.
My legs are shaking. You know, my legs are weak being here.
I miss the towers. I miss the people. I just feel like my heart is really hurting.
There's no words to describe it. It's just all those people, you know. It's real tragic.
No stopping! No stopping!
So many have come that they're clogging the sidewalk.
Keep moving, please!
Police and city officials strongly discourage people from coming to this area. They say the crowds disrupt not only the rescue and recovery effort, but also the effort to return the Wall Street area to some semblance of business as usual.
Clearly, though, many people simply cannot resist. Most onlookers say they need to see it to help comprehend the incomprehensible.
You just have to see it for yourself to know that it did happen.
Coming here makes it real, but by no means better. Dan Harris, ABC News, New York.
That is our report on World News Tonight. We'll have a special report this evening at 8 o'clock Pacific Time. I hope you'll join us then. I'm Peter Jennings.
Tonight, American television and radio will present a historic event, a live superstar benefit for the nation. America, a tribute to heroes. Tonight at 9/8 Central on this station.
A losing week for Wall Street as America prepares for war. Tonight, an international effort to fight terrorism may have stopped another possible attack, this time on Americans in Paris. Good evening. I'm Steve Dunn. Paul is off tonight. A worldwide manhunt for suspected terrorists intensified today amid fears that a second wave of attacks may be planned. Federal authorities today issued warnings to a number of American industries about possible future attacks, including the petrochemical, nuclear, and trucking industries, as well as Hollywood studios.
Unfortunately, it's something we have to deal with. A little frustrated, but